Os, good morning everyone. Very nice to see you again. Logan. My son was standing there. Very nice to have everyone again. Os, I'm going to start off with having my daughter do a warm-up for you. So for the next maybe 8 to 10 minutes, let's do a nice thorough warm-up. My daughter often does the warm-up for our dojo, so it should be very good. She has good flexibility and good warm-up activity. Right, Os. Okay, Sarah?
Is anyone there?
Okay, it's live.
A little tight.
You gotta speak up because I think they're gonna hear you through just your word. We don't have the microphone working right now. So we normally have a microphone that we use in our Zoom program. It works really well. But we've noticed the last couple of times for some reason it won't hook up here. So last time we had a couple of people make comments and they couldn't hear us. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to get closer to the screen when we need to actually speak to everyone. So please feel free to have a couple bubbles come up so we know who's there. Louder, I have to speak louder so they can hear you when you say. Okay, people are starting to jump on, Sarah. So those people who are jumping online, great to see you. Great to have you here. We're now having my daughter, Sarah Sharp, is doing the warm-up for you. She's just doing a little bit of sparring movement right now. While she's doing the warm-up, I hope you can hear her. She's actually giving you little prompts on what we're doing. But I'm also going to chat a little bit about today's program. One of my favorite things is to teach very basic basics, but then expand it into, if you have those good basics, if you understand them well, how you can utilize them in more advanced katas, advanced basic movements, but of course in fighting movements in kumite. So that's what I've been doing the last few times. I've been on Zoom and also on Karate at Home, and even our national one, Canadian Quarantine Karate. We're trying to do things that are quite basic, give everyone a nice lesson on how to do those movements well, and then expand them into something a little bit more advanced, or kumite. So today we're going to work on the 4 basic foot movements. The 4 basic foot movements are Yoriashi, Sugiashi, Fumidashi, and Fumikomi. So we're going to study those 4, get a few key points of Shotokan Karate, key points on those 4 footworks. Then we're going to use a little fun little exercise with hand shodan, doing those movements. And then expand a little bit of kumite to finish off using interesting combinations from the basic footworks. So let us know if you can hear us. I don't know if you can hear Sarah. She's about 4 meters away from the screen, so you might not be able to hear her so well, but I hope you're hearing me well. As I was saying, when we first got on, now there's a lot more people on, so I was mentioning to them that last time we had a little problem with sound. So we're going to try and make that a little bit better this time by being closer to the screen, because for some reason our ear mic, our earpiece that works so well in Zoom, seems to be ineffective here on our Facebook Live program. So they do a short nose to the knee. great to see so many people. I'm seeing Belgium, lots of Canadians, great to see. Lots of people from Europe as well, awesome. Oh, Sensei John Cridlin, one of my students from Maple Ridge area, great to see you. So let me know if you're hearing me a little better this time than last time, with me kind of coming right up to the screen when I'm doing the speaking. Everyone hear me well? And can you hear Sarah right now? Probably not hearing her so well, but I'm curious on the volume you're getting. Salzburg, excellent, thank you. Sound is good, excellent. Does it sound good for Sarah though? Can you hear Sarah? Sweden, thank you. Os. Okay, they can hear you too, so that's good. We're doing well. Thank you very much, Sarah. So one more time, now we've got a whole bunch more join us. When we were speaking at 9 sharp, we had not as many people. Now we have many more. So I just want to reiterate what I was saying at the beginning. I think most people know me, and if you've trained with me at seminars or even here at my dojo, you know that one of my favorite things is take something relatively mundane, this little technical basic movement, but show the understanding and the principles of those basic movements, how they can affect your high-level katas, your more advanced combinations and basics, but certainly your kumite skills. So if you want to be strong at kumite, it's not just about combinations, fancy combinations that can beat your partner because you did a hook kick before a gyaksugi or gyaksugi and then a hook kick. It's also, can you get it there? One of the big things from my sensei is Shihan Yasuo Sakurai from Japan. And when he was training me for international competition, national competition, and as most of you know, I did both WKF and JKA competition ran to the international level. He said, you've got to have good basics. Doesn't matter how fast your hands are, if you can't reach your opponent, then you are going to have difficulty scoring. So you've got to have good leg movements, understand the squeeze and expanding. And that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on the 4 basic footworks. There are many, there's a rainbow of footworks, but we basically come down to 4. Fumikomi, Fumidashi, Yoriashi, Sugiashi, and pretty much everything else is kind of a hybrid of those 4 movements. So let's work in a more technical, basic way on those ones for a little while. Let's study those for a little bit. Then after we study those 4 footworks and understand the principles of Shotokan Karate, concerning those 4 footworks, we're going to do 2 interesting things. One is going to be using Heian Shodan as a tool to work through those footworks to make them faster, stronger, better, and more effective. And then we're also going to, of course, do some kumite combinations that rely on your experience and skills of those basics. All right, so let's go. Let's first go do a little bit of warm-up basics. Sarah, join me on the screen. I left it out punch with the shin. Hey, light, chokuzuki, each. Just a light snap. Ni, sam, shi, go, ro, chi, ha, ku, jiu. Hey, jodan, shudan, each, ni, sam, shi, go, ro, chi, ha, ku, jiu. Hey, switch your hands, opposite combination. Each, ni, sam, shi, go, ro, chi, ha, ku, jiu. Hey, shake out the shoulders. Height down from Zenkusudashi. Come on, let's warm up our legs a little bit. We are going to do a lot of leg movements today. Hey, Gyakuzuki. Make your sense a little bit extra long, but still correct. Think about the feet being planted, knee position. One of my little short videos I have recently is about how to keep and why it's so important to keep that knee stable. Don't let let that move around. There are many reasons why this movement here will cost you speed, power, balance, getting swept from an opponent. Upper body movement relies on the stability of the knee staying in the same spot. So, Gyakuzuki. So let's go to long stance. Notice the warm upper legs. Let's also think about the correct position. You ready? Ich, Kizamuzuki. Ni, Gyakuzuki. Sam, Shi, Go, Up, Jis, Hach, Ku, Zu. Nice, switch your legs. Nice long stance, a little bit longer than normal, but very, very correct. Are you ready? Ich, feet the right way, both feet planted. Ni, Sam, Shi, Go, Up, Ich, Hach, Ku, Zu. Good. Hai, Ashikupe. Gyakuzuki, both moves one count. Ready? Each. No rush yet. Ni, big, big. Sam. Shi. Go. Rock. Shi. Hach. Ku. Zu. Nice with your legs. Gyakuzuki. Each. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Rock. Ish, hach, ku, zu. Good. Hi, Ashwike, switch your legs. Legs in today is mainly about the legs, how to use our leg, our basic 4 foot movements, and how to do them correctly. So let's continue to warm up a little bit more, utilize the legs a little bit more. All right, so, Gyakuzuki. Squeeze up your back leg, Kizamuzuki. Each. Then, drive it back into Gyakuzuki. Knee. Sam, Shi, Go, Rook, Jish, Hach, Ku, Zu. As you day, switch your legs. Try not to have your body go forward and back. Bring them in, just squeeze the leg. Body stays very close to the same. And then when we drive our hip back, we're going to keep that body again in position. Same. Height, each. Knee, keep the same height. Sam, Shi, Go. Rock, Chish, Hach, Ku, Zu. Good. Right, Ashikite. Gyakuzuki. Now let's do one count. Get those legs and hip action really warmed up. So make sure, big hip action. Really turn the hip. Okay, support the knee. Knee still staying stable. Don't let it collapse in. Quickly back into Gyakuzuki. Ready, each. Knee, quick. Sam, quick. Shi, Go, Rock, Chish, Hach, Ku, Zu. Let's switch your legs. Gyakuzuki. Are you ready? Each, Ni, Sam, Shi, Go, Rock, Each, Hach, Ku, Zu. Hey, Sarah, over here. Face that way. Same position. 4 cents out. Welcome on. Gyakuzuki to the leg, please. Yeah, or turn that way, going the other way. Okay, nice squeeze. Each. So when she squeezes, you don't want to have too much of a forward movement. Okay? We're going to try and keep that a little bit forward, but not too much. Don't fall back. Knee. Just drive the body down. So there shouldn't be very much movement. Often we do this when we see people fall forward, fall back. First of all, both punches will be weaker. It also shows that less stability in the legs that we're going to get to in a minute, with understanding the 4 basic movements that we talked about. Are you ready? Each. We want to keep the same height too. Don't stand up and fall down. Same height. Same height. Same height. Height. Each. Knee. But more importantly, we want to think about the hips engaged. Because I'm looking in, but turn out, but not let our whole body turn. We've got to keep our feet and knees in the same direction, eyes, hands in the same direction, but our hips have the load to make more powerful, because that was looking from the front, but also to prepare for that powerful Gyakuzuki return. Knee, Sam, Shi, Go, Rook, Ish, Hach, Ku, Zu. Also, she's doing very well with the back legs. Actual moment, I'll do the next one. So from here, a lot of people watch my back foot. That's going to be Fumikomi, she's one of the ones we're doing today. But this isn't the way we want to move in this particular case. In this particular case, like stepping forward, we want to keep that foot relatively close to the ground. So from here, don't lift, lift, lift. No. Try a little more. Sliding, 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 sliding. Okay, so you want to do both moves at once. You want to make sure that it's not this kind of feeling. Slide, slide. Okay, so you're going to come back over here. Do 5 more good ones. Are you ready? Each, ni, sam, shi, go. Good. So then we put it all together. It's a really great warm up for our legs, hips, upper body, punches, retraction, but most importantly, getting warmed up for our fundamentals. You're thinking about the knees staying bent, height staying the same, hip action, and so on. Okay, hi, go. Hi, back over here with me, Sarah. Hi, forward, since I'm walking by. Hi, Gyakuzuki. Good. Next one we're going to do is leg switch. Paul, if anyone of my students are on, you know, it's one of my favorite things. It just involves so many different fundamentals, so many basics. One of my favorites in my competition career, use leg switch punches a lot. So we're going to warm up, continue our warm up with that. So from Gyakuzuki, I want you to pull the back leg up like we're just doing, but then drive the other leg back into Gyakuzuki. So squeeze and in, squeeze and back. You ready? Each, knee. Same idea as that first one we're doing. You don't want to change your body weight so much. The front knee stays basically the same spot, so the other one replaces, and then we drive the other one back. So we don't want too much height change, we don't want too much forward or back progression. Ready? Sam, shi, go, roll, chi, ha, ku, jiu, ich, ni, sam, shi, go, look, is, ku, jiu. And relax, Sarah. Relax, everyone. All right, the next one we're going to do is the front leg back. When the front leg comes back, we do want to change our body weight. So from here to do the Gyakuzuki from the front leg, I need to pull back and then drive my body weight. I need to pull and drive. Pull and drive. But there's issues, there's conundrums with that one as well. When we squeeze the front leg back and change your weight position, some even more so, we tend to want to stand up. We're going to try to keep that same height. Even more so, we often don't use our hips enough. We do this kind of feeling. Okay, so we want to make sure that as you squeeze, there is a changement of the hip without over-rotating. We don't want to over-rotate. We have to engage the hip so we can drive forward into the next Gyakuzuki. Okay, so we pull back and in. Pull back and in. Okay, let's try that 10 times. See, front leg going back now. Ready? Gyakuzuki, E, front leg back, Ni, Sam, Shi, Go, Rok, Chi, Hach, Ku, Jiu, and relax. Good. So going forward, using back leg forward and front leg back are two quite significantly different movements. Of course, rely on a lot of similar things, like the height staying the same, the knees staying bent, the hip engagement, the placement of the hands. These are all very, very important aspects of both. But then there's some unique things, like having to go from a straight leg to a bend and compression. But when you're in the front leg, how you want to keep that knee completely stable until the other one replaces it for the next movement. Yes? Okay, so let's do a little bit of a sweat warm-up using all those things we've done so far. On the spot basic punches, then with the squeeze expand of the back leg, and then with a squeeze and changing of the legs, front to back, and back to front. Let's do 10 of each. Okay, well, 20 of the first one, so we're going to do both legs, get a sweat going, and then we're actually going to activate the combinations of today, or the movements of today, sorry, understanding the proper movements of the 4 basic Shotokan Karate footwork movements. Hi-yo. Come on. Gyakuzuki. So first, the first one was, let's make a big, long, almost exaggerated stance, a little longer, because we're just going to stay still for the first one. Are you ready? Big hip movement. 8, 8, so, sit, go, up, 8, 2, 2. I alternate with your legs. Gyakuzuki. 8, knee, so, sit, go, up, 8, 2, 2. Alternate with your legs. Gyakuzuki. Now both moves 1 count. Let's go. 8. Ni, Sam, Shi, Go, Look, Is, Ku, Jiu. I should stay still stand, try to lengthen those active hip muscles. Right? 80s, the leg muscles. Ni, some, she, go, rook, is, ku, two. Right? And you will, and relax. Okay, about a 20-second break. We want to push a little bit now and get that heart rate up. We're going to get our sweat going. Lungs breathing hard. So we can get into technical with a well warmed up body and a warmed up brain. So we get our body active, able to use the proper movements we want when we get to the 4 different footworks. All right, ready to move on? Sarah, covered? High force and some welcome on. The third one was squeezing and back. One leg does both actions. That one, we had to think about the squeezing of the leg, compression, the driving back of the leg, making sure to keep that hip moving, height the same, knee bent. You ready? Ease, pump, pump, knee, pump, pump. Some, she, go, rook, chish, hutch, ku, jill. That's the pace with your legs. Gakuzuki. Ease, knee, some, she, go, rook, chish, hutch, ku, jill. And relax. All right, we're breathing hard, we're getting ready, getting warmed up. Remember, you're not just warming up your body and your lungs and your heart, we're also warming up our brain, our body functionality. We're making sure we can move correctly through our hips and knees so we can move well. Yeah? Okay, the next one we did was pulling the back leg front, squeeze and expand. So continue to warm up doing that one. So I squeeze back leg, and gaps can squeeze. This one, we don't change the height, we don't change the body movement. We want to place our foot, place with the other, drive back. But I don't want to just have this kind of movement. Got to keep my tailbone in, and I have to make sure that when I squeeze, I engage this hip without overturning. So I can use it for the power of the guys. And let's go this one now, Sarah. Forward says, come on. Gabi, come on. Ready? Ease. Don't let's back leg front. Knee. Some. So put my hand right in front. She. Don't change. Go. Rook. Chish. Hutch. Ku. Jill. And your. And relax. And the last one was pulling the front leg back. So now we want to change that weight position and then drive our body weight forward. Go back, and in, back, and in, back. So it's okay if we now change our body weight to compress and go in. Listen. Okay, last 10, so try your best. Forward and so on the mic. Yakuzuki, ready? Ease, front leg, knee, some, she, go, rook, chish, hutch, ku, jill. Right, go, and relax. Good. Excellent. All right. So I do a lot of that kind of training, the squeeze in the back leg. I wanted to make sure that even though lately I'm 105 kilos, about 225 pounds, that I can still move my legs well, even if I'm a taller, bigger person. So how can I move my legs well? Through good technique. And that's what we're working on today. All right. So the first one is the most basic footwork of all, fumidashi. That's simply stepping forward. So let's take a look at some of the things that are important about our just a stepping forward movement. Remember, all this is going to lead into advanced Shu Kumite and a training drill using hand shoulder that's a lot of fun. All right, so first of all, again, how to expand in a Kumite, I got to have my foot stability. If I move my foot out of the way before I step forward, how many things go awry? How many problems have I made? As soon as I let my foot move before I go, this now means my ankle is unstable. My knee is unstable. It's going to be much harder to use my hip action when I open up my foot too early. If this is a fight scenario, then I open myself up to an attack to that knee. So what I need to do is keep that foot solid at least until my transition leg passes the support foot. Anytime after this foot has passed, then I can pivot. And usually, though, it's very late in the move. Usually, we will do that pivot in maybe the last 20% of the move or so, the last half meter that our foot is moving forward. That's when we want to move. Because the next problem is the landing. When we land on fumidashi, we don't want to have the heel pop like this. also don't want to have the blade of the foot up like this. We need to have the foot flat. We want to be able to use the straightening of the back leg, straightening, not locking, but straightening of the back leg to create power at the last moment of the punch. So, anything I do, opening my foot up at the beginning, is not only going to make an unstable beginning, it's going to be an incomplete finish. So I must make sure that stays still until the last moment. Then, as I step forward in the Oizuki, I can create power forward into my punch, right from my foot, through my knee, through my hip, and therefore into my punch. Plus, so that's the front leg, support leg. How about the other leg? The other leg, we want to have squeeze expand. We don't necessarily have to have the foot touch. That's more for beginning level, yellow, white, yellow, orange, green, blue, maybe brown belts that are trying to get their technical basics. Because it's not really about the feet coming together. It really has nothing to do with that. It's really to do with the squeezing of the leg muscles. So for beginners, it's easy for them to understand, bring the feet together, right? But as we get higher rank, we understand, black belts understand well, it's not the feet touching that really matter that much. It's that we're doing this squeezing, like we didn't warm up today, the squeeze of the groin muscles. So when we step forward, there is a definite crescent shape, but that crescent shape does not need to actually touch. Okay, we can just go close, but as long as, see my foot, my groin muscles are contracting and squeezing completely, look, my feet are not actually touching. I'm not saying it's wrong to touch, but I'm saying it's more of a beginning level, understanding that our legs have to squeeze together, but what we're really trying to get to is get our body to understand that we need to contract and here to get speed and power. So, foot stays close to the ground, squeezes the groin muscle together, then steps forward, lands solidly, position the knee with that rigid position, and there we've got the back leg. Okay? So, stepping forward, Fumidashi, we have foot, several things you've got to think about. Knee, hip. As we finish, again, foot, knee, hip, and the finish. Then we also, that's a lot on the support leg. We call that the Jikuashi leg. The Jikuashi leg, we have lots of stuff happening. But even on the leg that's moving, we also have several things we've got to consider. Okay? Including keeping the foot close to the ground, squeeze and expanding, maybe for lower ranks, actually squeeze and expanding by touching the feet together. For higher ranks, or squeeze and expanding, understanding how to use the groin muscles. Okay? Let us go. Start over here. Let's everyone move with you to get used to that. Hands on your hips. Even for higher dans, I do this work regularly myself. I will be doing just my footwork, check my form. It also holds you in good stead for your more advanced movements. How do you all? Forward since I walk on. Hands on your hips. Slowly, each knee. You thinking of every nuance? Some. Are we thinking about how to use our support foot at the beginning as they start moving? And then how I use it at the end. How I use this knee at the beginning, and then how I use it at the end. How I use the hip at the beginning, and how I use it at the end. Right, knee, stepping backwards. Each, knee, sun, forwards. Each, knee, sun, and back. Each, knee, sun. Good. Okay. Now, Oizuki. But it's really not about the Oizuki right now. Oizuki is just something for our hands to do. We really want to think about how we are moving in the most basic position, Fumi Dashi. Step forward in karate. Ready? Each or back. Ni. San. Stepping back. Gidambara. Each. Eight. San. And forward, Oizuki. Each. Eight. San. Back. Gidambara. Each. Ni. San. And you're good. Let's move along. Second one is going to get at the material of Heian Shodan and Kumite in a few minutes. So second one is Yoriashi. moving, same time in a shifting movement. This one we see in many katas, and it's also, of course, the most basic one, or the most common one we use in kumite as well. So it's important basics, very important kata, and vital in kumite. So Yoriashi is taking the weight off of one leg, for instance the front, without showing it too much. Just a little bit, and then using the body to push. When I do that though, a lot of people want to do right away like a kumite movement and lift their heel. When you lift your heel too much, it's not really too much about the heel. It's about what the heel does to the rest of our body. When I lift the heel when I push off, it also is making me stick out my butt. It's making my body weight go forward. So try and keep that foot close to the ground. Then, not so that's vitally important, although it is important, but it's more important to keep it there so the other factors like our tailbone, our leg, our posture, our body weight can remain the same. Okay? And let's try. Right, hands on the hips. So you take our weight slightly off the front and push. Ease. We're thinking about not this way, just right from here. Compress and slide. Ease. Knee, sun. Going back is the same way. We don't want to go forward and then back. Try just from here. I want to take my weight off and push. Tailbone in, back straight. Don't lift the heel and hit it down. Try and keep close to the ground. Ease. Knee, sun. Forward. Ease. Knee, sun. And back. Ease. Knee, sun. Good. All right. Now, Gyakuzuki. Right, little slide forward, Kizamazuki, ease. Little slide forward, Yoriashi, Gyakuzuki, knee, Kizamazuki, san, Gyakuzuki, shi. Right, and back, Gidambara, ease. Now, other hand, with the Gyakuhami training. Knee, san, shi, and forward, ease. Knee, sun, pay attention to the foot, shi. Very important thing about the foot, remember the foot coming up a little bit, not that big of a deal unless that foot coming up causes the knee to bend, causes the tailbone to stick out, causes your shoulders to go forward. So better keep it close to the floor like our nice, simple fumidashi. Okay? Right, and you and relax. Third one. Third one is sugiashi. We also see this in many katas. We also, it's vital in kumite and tournaments. And also just in basic training, it's a very important body action. It's going to really improve leg speed for like an orange, green belt, blue belt, intermediate kind of training person, to using in kata, asai dai, other higher katas, and certainly it's vital in our kumite. All right, so sugiashi. Squeeze the back leg up and then forward. Sugi, one of the translations of sugi is like a ricochet, a reaction. So the sugiashi is the reaction of one foot coming up and then the other one responding. Right? So sugiashi, again, is not as simple to do correctly as it first appears. Bring one leg up, move the other leg forward. Pretty simple, right? But when we think about that bringing the leg up, now we're talking about the warm-up, tailbone in, support knee bent, posture, body weight position. So then I can go forward correctly and powerfully in, rather than just kind of skip, step, jump, or 1, 2. So there is still lots of fundamentals of how I'm using the internal contraction, expansion of my hip action, and also basics of just posture, good stance, good foot exchange, good movement. Okay, so let's try that one now, Sarah. Sugiashi. Remember, one of the key elements is the foot. But if you're my student, I'm not as strict about how much you lift the foot or don't lift the foot. I don't like the heel coming up because it almost certainly causes other issues to the body. But my concern is not so much if it's 2 sheets of paper, 8, or if it's a couple inches. I'm not so worried about that. I don't want to see stopping, and I don't want to see the heel pop up where it's causing issues to the rest of the body. Okay, Haigak is the key. Squeeze up, slide, each, then out, Kizabuzuki, knee. Gonna get on the screen there, Sarah. Ready? Each, knee, some, she, go, rook. Just one punch per. Good. And back, let's do the same thing as we're doing. We're working on a gita by on that one. So, squeeze back, each, knee, some, she, go, rook, sheesh, hotch. Good. And yoga. Sugiyashi is anything where there's one foot movement in the other. That means this is Sugiyashi. This is Sugiyashi. So anything that we move one and the other, ricochet, or move one and the other, this is Sugiyashi. When both feet move same time, this is Yoriyashi. The last one is Fumikomi. Fumikomi is the raising of the knee and step down. You might think, well, it's just stomping. One of the things that Zachary says he always taught me, he'd always push me. That was even bigger back in the late 80s and early 90s. He'd say, I want you to make that step down. You can make loud sound. You're a big guy. But how can you do it quietly? Okay, I can do it quietly. He said, okay, now I'll do it fast and quietly. That's a little more difficult. To actually raise a knee quickly, but then absorb at the end, this takes more technical experience. Sorry, there was a couple things that came up on our screen or other stuff. Okay, so that takes a little more skill. So therefore, Fumikomi is more than we might think. Here's some of the key points. Remember that support foot thing? It's here too. As you drive the knee up, for example, in Hyansanda, you don't want that foot to over pivot. We don't want to raise the heel. We don't want to change our whole height. We raise our knee, not our body. So we want to try and keep our body down, knee bent, drive the knee forward, and then down. And sometimes make a strong sound. Sometimes quickly, but absorb the shock. This takes more skill, more effort, and I challenge you to practice both. That you're making a loud, strong, stomping sound. Here's another thing I've noticed over the years. I can, just by sound, hear if a student is doing a stomp, just their body weight crashing down, or if they're making a stronger stomp through technique. I actually find it's a more, the decibels, it's more of a guttural, deeper sound than the pound of body weight just being strong and heavy, and that true using your core. So Fumikomi is a bigger movement and more technical than we think. Let's review that one. Keeping the foot stable, knee bent as you drive forward. Don't let everything twist and turn when we lift your knee. Perfect example is Hyansanda. You have to keep till the last moment. I keep till the last moment. Come up, step down, still, square, just as I land. Then I turn my hips and Hyansanda. That's kind of understanding Fumikomi there. Foot, knee, hip. Knee drives up, but don't let it drive the whole body up. Making sure that when we sit down, that we can make a strong sound or silent, no matter how fast we're moving, we have control over both. All right, let's do a quick review and let's have some fun with that in hand, shoulder, and kumite for our last 20 minutes or so. Okay, Sarah, come on up. Enjoy. Forward stands on left line. Good. I step forward, everyone. Oizuki, chuda, each. This is fumidashi, the simple step forward punch, right? Now, I want you to just small slide forward, yoriashi, gyakuzuki, knee. Good. Now, squeeze up a little bit, a lot, but squeeze up, and kizamazuki, sugiyashi, each. Good. Now, raise your knee on the spot, and one more gyakuzuki with the ki. She. Good. Head back up so everyone can see you again. So very, very simple combination of using all four footworks in one basic movement. Right, yo. Ready? Forward steps on one line. Everyone step forward oizuki each. Now, just small slide, yoriashi gapsuki, knee. Squeeze up, kizamazuki, some. On the spot, squeeze the leg up, and hey, she. Good. Back up again. 4 sets. Legs. Can you do it one count, Sarah? With them? Everyone, you're going to move with her? Are you ready? Go. Step. Yoriyashi, Sugiyashi. And then raise and gaku. High back up and start again. Ready? Go. Oizuki, Sugiyashi. Oh, getting better at it already. Good. Nice. And back. Good. So even this format right here is a kumite technique. Think about actually attacking an opponent with oizuki. Then a little bit of shift, katsuki, you're feeling out your opponent. Then I squeeze leg and then right and catch my partner on the final raise. Even this one as is could be a kumite combination, but right now we're just using it as a method to practice the 4 movements in one action. Ready? Or one set. Go. Oizuki, Yoriyashi, Sugiyashi, and then Fumi. Komi, good. And back. How about the other leg, Sarah? How about everyone change legs? So we're going to change legs. Ready, go. Oizuki, Sugi, Yori, Sugi, go. And back. Good. Okay, I want everyone to do 10. I can't see you, but I trust you that you're going to do 10 sets, 5 in each leg. Sarah will do them with you. Hey, go ahead, Sarah. Do a few with light, Sarah. Just kind of slow. And then do a few. Good. Do 3 on one leg at medium speed, Sarah, and then 2 fast. And then go to the other leg, 3 relax, and 2 or 3 fast. Good. Now 2 fast on this leg. Let's go. Boom, 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 and boom. Nice. You can see when you start speeding it up how that could easily translate into a Ju Kumite series. Rushing down an opponent. That knee coming up could actually be like a feint before exploding into that last actual punch, or drawing them to attack you with that raising the knee and then counter attack. All right, now you're on the other leg yet, Sarah? Okay, so you're doing the other leg now, everyone. We're doing it 5 times the other leg, 2 or 3 times slowly or relaxed, and then fast. Excellent. And you're all right. So hope everyone got 5 on each leg done. Working the legs, working the speed and power, seeing the value in the actual combination as is, but more importantly, seeing the value in doing the correct movements, understanding how to use your feet correctly, keeping the feet flat and all that stuff. Because when you're going to do kumite, I don't need to keep that heel flat. But if I've studied my feet flat, I understand my body position and alignment. Remember, it's not about the foot. The foot is a catalyst to what else is happening through your body. As soon as I lift my heel, my weight position, my tailbone, my shoulders, all change positions. Keeping that foot flat, and also it's much easier to keep my body in line, whether it's a nice fast rotation, and shoulder, for example, when we pivot on count 9 to 10 for the last agyuke, a lot of people let the body drop forward, and then they spin this way that move. The more I can keep that center, the more I can keep that center line, and the squeeze expand that we're talking about, the more I can get the speed and power. So I want to keep that center line nice and straight. When I move, I want to understand my foot is a big part of that. A little too much, a little bit heel, or land too much this way, easy to go awry. All right, now it's time for the fun stuff. I like technical, it's my favorite stuff is what we just did, but let's have some fun with that stuff. So the first thing is going to be hand shoulder. So I'm going to turn my back on you for a moment because I think it's better. I'm not sure if you're seeing, it seems like some screens see us. I'm the same way when I watch you guys, other senseis that I watch on Karate at Home. I watch a lot of the senseis there and learn from you guys as well. So I sometimes see you guys in mirror image, sometimes in regular image. So anyways, I think if I have my back turned, it might be a little easier. So, Sarah, can you get to the screen for a moment? Just to repeat what I say. If they don't hear my voice because I'm facing the other way, you can be repeating it. Okay? First movement, I'm actually going to use Sugiyashi back.
First
and then going
movement.
forward, like this. Then I'm going to step forward, Oizuki with little bit of Yoriashi. I pull my left leg in to do Sugiashi. This is as usual, but my Oizuki do with a little bit of sliding action. Then squeeze my leg in and go in forward, Inamara. Let's try those first few together. So what we're doing is using Hiroshiren as a tool to work on those movements of Yoriashi, Sugiashi, and so on. So right now, we're doing the Sugiashi, Yoriashi through practicing in Hiroshiren. They can also have some value in tournament, in Kumite, right? So this is triple. We're working on Hiroshiren in a unique way. We're working on the footworks and our fundamentals. And this obviously, shifting back and then going forward punch, can be used in a Jukumite scenario. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through it again. Sarah, Yoi, just those first few. You're doing Sugiashi by squeezing the left foot back and slide. Each. That was more Yoriashi. You can actually move. Sugiashi is when we have a ricochet, right? So Yoi. Let's try that again. Like each. Boom, boom. I didn't pre-plan this one with her, so even she's going to be learning with you guys on this one. Now you're stepping forward, Oizuki, with Yoriashi. A little bit of slide. Knee. Good. Now the next one, you have to pull the left leg up and then rotate. So we're using that ricocheting movement. So this would be a hybrid of Sugiashi. Some. Good. Kensui, let's do as usual. Shi. And all the punches with sliding. Each. Next one, you're going to squeeze your back leg up, then turn your left leg to the front. Ready? Each. Right, left. And back again. Let's try again. Ready? Each. Yes. Knee. Yes. Sa. Yes. Shi. Go. Yes. Roll. Good, good. All right, and your. Good. The Agyukes, we're going to do a little bit backwards. These ones are step forward movements. We're going to, from the Hinabara, I want you to do leg switch. Leg switch. So I switch my legs, and this is a hybrid. We're not just doing 4. We're making a rainbow out of those 4. Step. Step. A on the spot. Squeeze your right leg in. Turn left leg. Then in. Squeeze left leg in, and slide. Okay, let's try it there, Sarah. So the Agyukes are leg switch. A hybrid, more advanced version of Sugiashi, I guess you'd call it. Ready? Each. Ni. Sam. Shi. Go. Rog. You're off screen. You can move a little bit more to your back. Yeah. Cheese. Hodge. Ku. Ju. Right, left. Squeeze this one in. Let's quickly drive forward. Yes. Knee slide. Now, back leg squeezes. Each. Knee. Good. So I think everyone now, the rest you can do, right? Each. Yes, good. Knee, leg switch. Leg switch. Knee, leg switch. So, leg switch, yeah. Good. Right leg squeezes and in. Each. Good. Knee. Some. Chi. Good. Right, yo. How are we doing? Is everyone following? Hey, back again, Sarah. A little more to your left. Good, perfect, good. You're right in the middle of the screen now, so everyone should be able to see you. Okay, so as I'm describing to Sarah, because I can't see you guys on Zoom, I can see everyone that I'm teaching, and I give them direct advice. So I hope you guys are watching Sarah, and hopefully you're not making the same errors, but hopefully you're not also making different errors. Let's try and follow correctly. Ready? Each, ni, sam, shi, go, ro, chish, hach, ku, ju, right, left. Something like that. Ni, sam, left, right, yes. Shi, go, right, left. So you can drive forward, yeah. Rook, switch your legs. Shi, switch your legs. Hach, ki, ai. Ku, left, right. Ju, left, right. Each, knee. Yep, yep. Good. And your okay. Great. So I don't know how many of you actually trained with Naka Sensei. And so he does a lot of this kind of, this is my creation here on using the footworks, but it's based on Kawabata Sensei and Naka Sensei when I practically lived at headquarters for a long time, a few years back, and visited many times and trained there for a few weeks. So Naka Sensei in morning class would often, when I was training there at headquarters, would often do different things with taiko, shoulder, hand, shoulder, and Izumi Sensei also would do things like that. And so I teach in my dojo a lot of exactly the way they taught me, but I've also expanded on my own in different ways. And I said, wow, that's interesting, and then let it expand into other things for my students and for my training. So for you guys, I'll give you this little hand shoulder of how to utilize your different footworks. So right now we're using a few. We got the leg switch one, which is a hybrid. You got sugiashi, you got yoriashi. There's actually a couple more hybrids kind of mixed in there. And no basic movement. Do the fumidashi, right? Hey, back over here, Sarah. So next one, back over here, I'll teach you. So it's the same time teaching everyone. Are you ready? You're going to do Gidam Barai with knee raise, Gidam Barai Yakuzuki. Ready? E, knee raise, Gidam Barai Yakuzuki. Good. Then switch, hands, basic, Oizuki, E. So this is just Fumidashi. That's a simple movement. Although, because we're in Gyakusuki, we get to do a little hand switch thing. Okay? Ready? When we turn, don't use the Fumi Komi. Sam. Shi, go. Good. Fumidashi. Roll. Now, raise your knee each time into Agyuke. Each. Raise your knee. Fumi Komi. Yeah. Knee. Fumi Komi. Sam. Good. On turns, Gidam Barai, don't. Each. Knee. Sam. Shi. Those four we keep the same. Raise your knee. Go. Gidam Barai. Raise your knee. Fumi Komi. Good. Good, good. And actually good. Now, Oizuki, each, knee, sam. Each, now should go as usual. Knee, sam, shi. So now we're mixing up the other two. We've got a little bit of fumi komi, knee raising, and how to raise our knee correctly. And then we have the basic stepping forward movement. High back to the beginning. Good. So everyone try on your own. It doesn't matter which ones you do, either one on, as long as all of you keep the classic step forward, fumidashi, but check yourself. Oi Sensei himself, Vice Chief Instructor at JK headquarters. He's kind of my karate grandfather, he's my sensei. And he's told me last year, I'm still working on Taiko Goshoda. That is the Vice Chief Instructor, 9th Dan of JK. He says, I'm still working on Taiko Goshoda. So not only is he working technical aspects to make it better and better and better in its basic format, but he also likes to do different things with it. So that's other ways he can expand his knowledge. Okay, Sarah? So don't worry about which one you're raising. Even the idea is just to try. Use hand shoulder like a tool, like a wrench or a hammer. Use it as a tool to try different things with your karate technique. Right now you're trying adding a little bit of knee raises, and you're trying to identify with how to correctly move in our basic simple fumidashi, but not so simple, easy to do correctly. You ready, Sarah? Husband. She can just do it anywhere she wants. I give her the idea, I give her a few. And she's doing a simple fumidashi, step forward movement. And she's doing a few knee raises to identify with the fumi komi. All right, good. Added one there at the end. Good. So again, I didn't do this with her before, didn't pre-plan that. I just want to teach her with you guys at the same time. Often when I bring her on screen, you guys know her probably quite well if you train with me. She comes on most of the time at Karate at Home, and she's on most of the time with me when I do my Zoom classes as well. We usually prepare some of our demonstrations and whatnot to make them look nice. But other times I like to do this, where I'm actually teaching her on screen, so then that way it's almost like a way to teach you guys that I can't see on Karate at Home. by teaching through someone here, Sarah, in this case. How you doing? And relax. Good. So in other words, we can use hand shoulder as a tool to have some fun, do different things with it. That can challenge whatever we're trying to do with, excuse me, and it's getting some text messages, and it goes on my whole screen of the TV, and then I can't see myself or hear myself think. So anyways, we want to try and identify with using hand shoulder as a tool. In this case today, we're using it as a tool to help us understand the 4 basic footworks that we can get better at, stronger at, through basic training, but then also we can expand into kata, and therefore into Jukumite, which is what we're going to finish with. The last few minutes, let's do some Jukumite. Let's start with the very first one we did in basic. When we put all 4 together, let's use all 4 again. Hi, Sarah, come in. Okay, so I'm going to step forward to big Oizuki. Big Oizuki attack. Jukumite punch. Maybe I won't catch her with that one. That's a test that's going to get a feel of what she's going to do. But I actually, in my conversation, I like stepping forward. A lot of people always want to keep the same leg. Everything came from the same leg, right? Maybe a back leg round kick. But a lot of times I would do big step forward techniques. But in this case, let's just use it more as a feeler. I said, Oizuki Jukumite punch to get an idea of my partner's response. In this case, my partner does a Gyakuzuki. I use Yoriyashi to go back. Yoriyashi. Then I'm going to use Sugiyashi with knee raise and Kizabuzuki to catch. So let's take a look. So the first one, I go Oizuki to see response. I did a Gyakuzuki. So now I've used Fuminashi to step forward. Yoriyashi to go back. Sugiyashi and Fumi to get my partner to respond. Maybe she throws one more Gyakuzuki. No problem. As I raise my knee, I can now walk and in. So, Oizuki response, squeeze, and catch. Okay? So we're using that basic. Remember we did it today? Oizuki. And we did Yoriyashi, Sugiyashi, then Fumi. So we're kind of using that very, very simple basic in a Jukumite. One more time. Respond. Throw the gas in Sarah. Throw the gas so you can see. So she throws 2 Gyakuzukis. No problem. As I raise that knee, I have that hand defense. Okay, so my timing is going to be stronger, more powerful movement in. So one more time. Each knee. Okay. Smoothly, but not fast. Ease, boom. So then I use all 4 of my footworks in one pattern, right? But in a workable actual combination. Not just because I wanted to force all 4 into it, for you guys to try and see if you can do all 4 footworks in one movement. This actually is a workable pattern. So one more time, a little closer. So I said, shift back using my Yoriyashi. Then I squeeze up right away in response. Squeeze up, raise my knee, and in. Why do I raise my knee there? Not just to fit into Fumi. Raise my knee changes my rhythm, so I can catch my own time in a rhythm. It will break her time in rhythm. See the knee come up? Just that moment of motion to my opponent. So it's actually quite valuable to have that knee on Sugiyashi come up and catch that, because that was a pay attention here, then they won't pay attention here. Okay? So I know most of you, probably 90% of you, don't have a partner right now to try this with. But I want you to try, no count, 10 times, have that image. It's something I've been working on with my students lately, is with the COVID situation, we can't be face to face, but we can still do very, very valuable Kumite training. And as a matter of fact, sometimes even more valuable. Having a body in front of you is one thing, but having to have an imagination of the person in front of you, and their distance and their timing, and then having the correct movement. This is actually, in some ways, more challenging than if we had a partner. Okay, Sarah, come over here. Face the screen. I want you to do 10 times. So everyone to see 10 times on your own. Let's go. Fighting stance, Sarah. And Oizuki. Shift back. Make sure you block in that one. Then I squeeze up and kizame. Good. Oizuki, shift, up and okay. I step forward, oizuki, shift, squeeze up and yeah. Good. There you go. That's it. Good. Do a few more. You do a couple at about a 45-degree angle so everyone can see. Sarah's getting very good. I didn't do any of these with her to this time. Usually I'll get her pre-prepared for all this. Nice, Sarah. But she's doing this on the fly right now, just learning it like you guys. No, oh, you did a little extra step. Step in, shift back, squeeze and Fumidashi, Yoriyashi, Suyashi with Fumi, and catch. But again, you can see if you don't know how to use each of those footworks. Keep going, Sarah. How to squeeze, expand. And if I just go this, go good. I need to understand how to go forward. Into kumite, I have to understand how to go in. Into kumite, I have to understand how to use my shift instead of this way. Sugiyashi, I have to understand how to keep my body. If I go too far forward, maybe I'll impale myself on their punch. So we can see how the fundamentals and basics of the movement link and connect to advanced kata, basic kata like Kyashoben, or even here, we're actually using a setup program of how to catch an opponent. Close? Okay. So from there, I challenge you to try and come up with another combination that has all four, and then one that has three of the four of your own creation. But based on thinking a little bit of how can I utilize the kumite strategy, tactics, how can I catch my opponent, but how can I utilize my understanding of correct ways of moving in karate. Some of the highlights today, remember about the fumidashi, front foot, knee and hip at the first half, and then they both, all three, have a job at the last moment as well. Yoriyashi, the back foot, about they keeping it close to the ground, not because it matters if it's right close to the ground, but when you lift their heel to push off other body parts, including your tailbone, weight position, center of gravity, are gone. The third thing is our sugiyashi. Sugiyashi is the same idea. When I squeeze my legs together, I have to have the height and position of my hips so I can generate power and force forward rather than this feeling. And fumidashi, the highlight of that one was that I drive my knee up as high as I can. Two highlights. One is knee up high should not change your foot, knee and hip, or height. The second thing is I challenge you to try step down strong and powerfully, but also lift quickly and then absorb the shock and see if you can control your body action. Us? Okay, Sarah, come on screen. Right, kyotsuke. Os. Face the group. Right, os. Thank you very much for coming out. Hope you enjoyed it. Please don't hesitate to Facebook message me if there's any questions you might have. It's the 4 basic movement today. Had some fun with Thean Sholan doing it. Gave you a combination of kumite that can be changed into many things. Thank you very much. Getting lots of thank yous and goodbyes. Os. Thank you to all of you. Right, os. Thank you. We'll see you next time.